Hello, welcome to Soccer Yanks, where we are here to bring you the beautiful game from the American perspective. I am your co-host, Dave.
And I am your other co-host, Dan. And we're going to get right into the brass tacks. Actually, we're going to apologize for not having a podcast last week. We're in the Northeast, and the climate change is rapid, as they say. And it got cold here, and everyone kind of got sick.
The climate change is a theory, like gravity.
Okay, wow. that went. I didn't know it was going to go there. I was just making a little tongue-in-cheek comment. But
sorry, I got way too political.
You know what? We're going to start on a high note. At least for me. 3 minutes, 3 goals.
Monkey off the back.
Arsenal 3, Aston Villa 0. Nice match. You see anything that you particularly enjoyed in that match?
Actually, those 3 goals in 3 minutes I completely missed because I got up to get a coffee in the lobby at the hotel after a wedding I was at. And, turned around, saw a bunch of people celebrating. I was like, oh, they scored a goal. And then I saw there was a little 3 there. I was like, yeah, it was unbelievable.
Obviously I enjoyed, the 3-0. Ozil was deployed centrally. So everyone's like, oh, finally he plays in the 10 role. Really, he has been playing the free role all along. If you look at the heat map for this match, it kind of leans a little bit to the left side. It is central and it is also on the right. So he played all over the pitch. I think we saw the benefit of an Aston Villa team that was suffering from illness. There was a couple of guys that were sick. There was a couple guys that had to get subbed because they were probably dehydrated and sick. I think it's some sort of flu coming out of both ends kind of thing. So, okay, yeah, they got the benefit of that because Villa's been on a nice tear. But in the same token, the second half, you think, Villa's down 3-0. They're at home. They're gonna try to salvage a point here. And I don't know if the tactic that they thought was that Arsenal will just get sloppy and get too aggressive and continue to go at them. But Villa applied no pressure to Arsenal in the second half, and Arsenal just
opened them up.
No, well, they didn't do anything. The second half was very, very boring. Arsenal just passed around. Villa wasn't going to press them. Well, they're not going to get themselves exposed on the counter. It was a very boring second half. It was unnecessary. And to be honest with you, after having played a couple of matches in 7 days. With a trip to Germany in the middle there, a very calm second half was needed. The only real worry with Arsenal is that it's only the 5th weekend, and we're looking at the youth team guys playing on defense. That's the real issue.
Yeah, Debuchy and Monreal are out.
Yeah, Monreal should be back, so I'm not too worried about him because we have Gibbs playing anyway. But with Debuchy out. We have Koscielny and Mertesacker and Chambers. Chambers is the backup right back. They've been bringing up Bellerin, which is a youth player. You get an injury to Koscielny. Now you got Chambers playing in the middle with Mertesacker. Now what happens if right back gets hurt? It's Bellerin. Is Bellerin ready?
Welcome to my nightmare.
So it's an interesting predicament. It's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. But it's very early.
A lot of Tums going to be ingested this early in the season for me as well.
The one thing that I would say that has been going in their favor is the schedule this season. Fortunately for Arsenal, is very paced. Meaning it's like one tough match, and then a mid-table, or at least looking at the schedule, it looks like mid-table. Or a lower end table team. Then another tough. It's like
the next 3 matches though. You got Spurs and then Galatasaray right after that, and then Chelsea.
Well,
Spurs. It's still a derby, but
yes, but at the same time, I guess I wasn't always considering the Champions League, what the Champions League would do. But I think, if my memory serves correct, I think
after that you have Hull and Anderlecht.
Yeah, so again,
Champions League still Champions League, but
it eases up a bit though. Oh yeah, okay, a little bumps here and there. Chelsea and City both had pretty tough matches in midweek, and then they faced off each other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it's not, last year we had like the death race in February and March. It was just like every weekend was another title. It was like Liverpool, Chelsea, then Liverpool in the FA Cup, and then Bayern. it was like a death. It was like a death rally.
After buzzsaw, yeah.
But I'm happy. Ozil got a little bit of that monkey off his back, like you said. He scored a goal. He assisted a goal.
Yeah, I think he just needed time to get used to the way Arsenal try to score. And he wanted to be able to do it the best way he possibly can. He doesn't like to do it just score. He wants to look good doing it.
Yeah, well, cut it out. Well, actually, I want to ask you a question, because this question was asked of me. Or maybe that wasn't actually presented to me as a question. It was almost presented a little bit more as a statement, but I don't think it's accurate. But I guess I exposed my hand. Does Ozil and Sanchez mute each other? Do they cancel each other out? Because Sanchez didn't play against Villa, and he was given a rest, and Ozil was given a chance to flourish here. Is this evidence that maybe having Sanchez be a little too antsy-pantsy all over the place interfere with how Ozil plays?
Yeah, I think they both kind of go to the same spots. They draw to the same areas. But I think Sanchez, they do the same thing, except Sanchez can finish. That's the only difference. And on the same pitch, I think it would leave too many open spaces if they're both in the free roll running around. Well,
yeah, I believe that they can't both be in the free roll. I think Sanchez does take some liberties with the way his movement. But, I'm going to give an example here, and I know it's going to be, a lot of people are going to say this is a tough one to swallow. This example is a little bit of a stretch. But I think if you take it from the context of general playing style, Ozil played with Ronaldo. Ronaldo did whatever he wanted. It's not like that, you know what I mean? He invaded the left side as much as he wanted. He did whatever he wanted. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm not saying that Ronaldo and Alexis Sanchez are one and the same, or even in the same category. But I do believe that Ozil is capable of playing on the same pitch as another guy that likes to roam. I think they could do it. I think it's possible. And I think actually for them to be successful, they have to.
He has the vision for it. That's for sure. But it's up to the other player. I don't think it's up to Ozil. I think it's up to the other player on the field who's in the free role if they can play with him. I think Ozil can play with anybody. I think he's that kind of a player. But it's up to the Sanchez or the Ronaldo. It depends on the character or the quality of their stuff. What they got.
Now this is what I'm going to call for the remainder of the EPL weekend that we're going to talk about. I'm going to refer to it as the happy place, because just everyone dropped points.
Yeah, everybody had a sigh of relief. Much.
No, Arsenal had a sigh of relief, and everyone else, because they won, and everyone else either dropped points or lost. So everyone that they would consider their direct rivals.
Yeah, Arsenal are 4 points out, and they're in their comfy fourth spot. It's cozy. It's nice and cozy and warm.
I'm not going to even mention where other teams are on the table right now.
No, I was just saying. It's a familiar place.
Let's just go to it. What the hell happened to Manchester United? They were up by 2 goals twice. I mean, they were up 2-0, and then they were up 3-1. And they lost that 2-goal cushion. Not only did they lose it...
Before we get to the negative, how awesome was that Di Maria goal?
Okay, yeah, that was awesome. Honestly...
Give me that!
The first half, you thought, okay, this is good. All right, so they built up. They had a nice performance against QPR. Okay, we all know QPR is not so hot. But Leicester has been pretty tough competition for everybody else. I think Chelsea had the easiest time with them, but only in one half. The first half, I think, against Chelsea, it was a tough one. Arsenal drew them, and I forget who else they played. Regardless, they have not been pushovers at all. Now, I know there's a faulty, shitty penalty call.
Atrocious. But before that, Johnny Evans' injury. He was part of the game plan. And Smalling got subbed in, who has been incredibly subpar this season. So he was in at center back, which left Raphael... He left him out to dry a couple times. So leading up to that penalty call which should have been a penalty call on.
Should have been a foul to begin with on the other way around.
Yeah, and the retaliation is what was what started the implosion.
Now,
and Clattenburg, really? I mean, come on, Clapp.
Listen,
I hope he gets a clap.
Listen, I mean, I support a club that has suffered from referee-itis. So I get it. I get it. I don't think as a Manchester United supporter you're going to get much sympathy from the non-United supporters because there's been many a years where 5 minutes of extra time and Howard Webb jokes. You know what I mean?
Howard Webb would have had Vardy drawn and quartered in the public square for trying to even simulate like that.
So you're not going to get much sympathy there on that level. But I think what's the thing that needs to be brought into question was did they believe so like this game was so wrapped up and then one goal came in and then another goal. And it just, the floodgates just opened up where it just didn't make sense. And they were just flabbergasted. I mean, I don't think Wayne Rooney...
The way they were attacked was incredible. I mean, they were so fast on the counter. It looked like in 2 seconds they turned their head and there were 5 guys behind them.
Yes, no, they did very well on the counter. Everyone's always talking about this Manchester United defense is the real problem. And I agree. I do think, because I personally don't rate Chris Smalling or Johnny Evans, even for that matter, or Phil Jones when he's healthy. But everyone believes that Rojo, he played in a World Cup final. On the other side, Rafael has been a seasoned Premier League player. I mean, the same probably could be said about Chris Smalling. He's not fresh out of the youth system. He's been around. He's been playing. So it's not like these guys are all new. Is it lack of leadership back there?
I think that's.
Is it the lack of Vidic or Ferdinand keeping things in order? Because De Gea is not, he's not an old head either. So there's a lot of youth back there. There's a lot of younger guys, and also maybe unfamiliarity amongst them.
And don't forget, in the beginning of the season, everyone said they were starting out with a 3-5-2. Well, and now they're switched to a 4 at the back.
Yeah, because it works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But their system that they have been training for the last 2-3 months. Up until 2
yeah, but now they're going to something that they should be not necessarily need to train for because they should be more familiar with that anyway.
True, but they still got to get used to the players.
No, I think part of it is that I don't know if Wayne Rooney barking at everyone when he's the one that let up that one goal. It was his bad pass. He had the chance to clear it and he didn't. He lost the ball and it was the Cambiaso goal, I think.
I hate that name.
But I think, and then he started, you've seen it, right? You've seen him going bonkers on everybody. Like, to me, that's not necessarily, I mean, yes, I think that yelling at people sometimes is one way to motivate, and it does work for some players. But I'm not sold that Wayne Rooney on his performance really was in a position to be, yelling at guys because it was his mistake that led to it. No, and that's really the crux of it. And then he issues this statement about, he looks around the locker room, there's a lot of talent, and the manager's meticulous and detail-orientated, and he knows that this team is going to, be able to do stuff. And I get that. You got to tread your party lines. I understand. And I do believe that the front half of that United team is phenomenal looking, at least looking on paper. I mean,
Ferrari in the front, Fiat in the back.
Yeah, that's been the joke.
Picture.
That's been the joke. I think the real issue that Van Gaal probably has to navigate here now, and I always thought the egos were going to be an issue, but it kind of is starting to almost look like because of this Ferrari Pinto dilemma, an us versus them maybe. These idiots in the back keep blowing the game for us. 300K a week guys. That could really melt down a locker room.
That's true too. Yeah. I also forgot about that red card. Forgot to mention that. The Blackett red card.
Yes.
82nd minute.
That one was Leicester already in the lead at that point?
Oh yeah.
They were already in the lead, and then Ochoa. I think whatever. Soul patch. He put the final nail in the cabinet.
Yeah.
What's your feeling? I mean, obviously you're not happy about this performance. Something you can shrug it off, and
It's not even October yet.
that's what I've been telling everybody about. Not to prop up United, but that's what I've been telling. Like, let's not get overexcited about anybody's performance until Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not going to start having panic attacks if this was like March.
After Boxing
February.
Day, after Boxing Day, you can start talking about the cream starting to rise.
Yeah, there's still plenty of injuries to go around the league. There's still plenty of people to come back. They're still holding the transfer window.
If Villa, Swansea, Southampton are still treading in the top 5-6 spots, then we can start talking about them holding on to those spots.
It's pretty insane. The field, again, the field in the EPL. It's incredible.
I mean, this is like the most cliche thing that everyone just says, but I think cliches are born out of some truth. I don't care about the most talented league in the world anymore. That's okay. That's an easy win for La Liga.
Week
Cool.
to week, minute to minute excitement.
Entertainment value. Can't beat it. I think Major League Soccer is up there with the entertainment value because you just don't know what's going to happen each week. But Premier League is definitely it's exciting.
Start to finish.
Whatever, we're choir. Pardue out. Pardue out.
Pardue or Pardone? That's the question this week on Soccer Yanks.
We got Jimmy online too. Jimmy from Newcastle, what do you think?
Yeah, I got this guy up in, Jolly Land up there. What do you think?
I think he's dead. I think he's a lame duck.
Toast. He doesn't even have jelly. He's dry toast.
He's gone. He's there, but he's lost the locker room.
Crowds hate him.
The crowd. Well, yeah, the fans are. Now, the real problem I think that, and I don't know. I'm not researched enough on the board of Newcastle, and I don't understand some of the movements of players that they've had. They've had some very good players over the last couple of years. Demba Ba, Debussy, Cabaye. There's another one in there. Ben Arfa.
I got you.
Right. Pretty. Most people would say skillful with the ball at their feet.
Solid.
Good players. And they've all been sold off. Now, is it because they're a selling team? They need to make money. One of the ways to make money. Maybe that's part of it. But is it that the players are just unhappy playing for Pardue? He claims that he likes beautiful football and he likes to play a certain style. But I don't think there's evidence of that. I think there's evidence of there's more evidence of Route 1 over the top soccer.
Big guy, chip it down.
I just feel like that's what he likes and that's what he prefers. And I think a guy like Johan Cabaye that wants to pull strings in the middle of the field and at practice every week, they're working on chesting down 60-yard balls. That's not, they get disenfranchised and they want to leave. And I think you can't build. And I don't know if again, I don't know how much of that split is it Pardue or is it like management saying, no, it's time to sell these guys, we make a buck now. The next guy that comes in might be facing the same dilemma. It may be we don't know how much management is involved in this. But for sure, I think his time is up.
Yeah. They eked out that draw.
Eked.
That wasn't a draw earned. That was a
one loss by Hull.
Yeah.
Speaking of other teams that like to play medieval soccer, as Jose Mourinho likes to call it, West Ham 3, Liverpool 1.
Oh.
What is happening with Liverpool? I mean, again, let's preface this that it's early in the season. Liverpool didn't start very hot last year either. I don't know if they started this cool, but they didn't start as hot as they'd finished.
It's pretty. I don't know. That loss to Suarez is starting to
I think I agree. I think they don't have a guy that can bail them out of crappy games.
Their offense doesn't have teeth.
They're missing the llama face to fool the defenses. No, I think that Suarez bailed them out of a lot of games against mid-table and lower end of the table teams. And I'm not saying that Balotelli and I think really they're missing Sturridge because Sturridge understands the team and Balotelli's still learning it. I think they're also suffering from what Tottenham suffered, the hiccup, or excuse me, the hangover rather of losing a world-class player. Now, your team, in Spurs' case, they lost Bale, and they went out and they bought the Magnificent Seven. They bought 7 players with the Bale money. Or actually, they mortgaged it. They bought them before they sold. But whatever, they knew it was coming, right? So they bought all these players. I think the team had a transition. That team had a transition in adapting to not having a guy to bail them out. We use this damn joke every week with the Bale. Right? Bale was so important to that team, and I think we're seeing a little bit of history repeat itself here. I do not think that Liverpool is on the same level as Spurs. I think they're a class above them for sure. Much better talent on this team, hands down. And the guys that they acquired are also very talented guys. But there are a lot of new faces and names that need to be integrated into this team. They started a new defensive pairing with Skrtel and Lovren, and I personally think Lovren's going to end up being a bust. I don't like this guy. The more I see him for Liverpool, I see a lot of mistakes. I see some good things, but I see a lot of stuff that I don't really particularly like. But maybe that's part of getting to learn. Moreno is back there, Lovren, Skrtel, and I forget who their right back is
for
Liverpool.
Javi Manquillo.
Oh yeah, Manquillo. That's one guy from last year. That's 3 new guys. Mignolet has only had 1 clean sheet this year. So is that Mignolet only 1 clean sheet? Is that a reflection of the new defenders in front of him, or him having a bad season? No Suarez to bail him out. Just
Balotelli's coming back into learning the Liverpool way. It's not like
that's what I'm saying. There's too many guys to integrate. I think they're having a tough time getting everyone on the same pace.
And now we got Sterling, the Madrid rumor starting.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. That's an Everton rumor start. That's an Everton newspaper started that. But Sterling, I would say, is the lone star right now on that team that's really shining. I'm not saying that they don't have stars, but the guy that's really shining is Sterling. That goal that he scored was a laser. And I like Balotelli's leap there. That was like a 4-foot leap over him.
He's doing some crazy stuff, that Sterling fella. Shining, you might say.
Jesus. The most dramatic of matches,
the 2 most stubborn fucking teams in the EPL.
I would say that's yeah.
I want to wear blue. No, I want to wear blue. No, I want to wear blue. No, I'm going to wear blue. So they both wore fucking blue.
Yeah, it was a little annoying that they were both wearing blue. 1-1, if you didn't know. Chelsea City.
EA Sports picked the jersey colors.
Yeah, what color was the ref? Blue? If it was an EA game, the ref would have been blue.
Absolutely.
No, he would have been a dark blue. A very dark blue.
Somewhere in between the both of them.
Okay. There's a lot to talk about in this match.
We're done talking about the jerseys, though.
Yeah, okay. I might go back to the jerseys. Maybe that affected the game.
Lots of cards, huh?
Lots of cards. I think we've seen this now from Manchester City on more than one occasion. On teams that they feel, I don't want to say the word threatened by, but I think teams that they believe are capable of beating them, they are playing very aggressive. Very aggressive. Their midfield has been given, it's very clear their midfield has been given the instructions to systematically foul and kick and beat up other teams. I believe that's Pellegrini. He's like, we are strong, we're tough, we're going to make them not want to have the ball in the midfield.
Brain them.
Right? That bit them in the ass. Not that I believe that all the yellow cards that were candied about the field, that was Dean, right? It was Mike Dean. Mike Dean prancing about the field, just throwing yellow cards like a fairy, like a Tinkerbell. Yeah, here, have another yellow card. Have another yellow card.
Amarillo.
So Zabaleta unfortunately picked up a soft yellow in the first half. In the second half, he had a challenge that, is probably a yellow card. Diego Costa did not like that at all. He got up. And, Zabaleta just put his hand on his shoulder. It was kind of like, hey, I didn't mean to hurt you. I went for the ball, and I just took you out. Just some classic 1988 shit, And I guess Costa was like, that's one too many. That's one too many. I didn't mean it. So he got up in his face, and he grabbed him by the throat for half a second. There was no squeeze, officer. There was no squeeze. It was just I just used his neck to move him away from me. So he got a yellow card for that, too. At that point, at this point, the match had been kind of this like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't overly exciting with the chances, and I think both teams' defenses were very good. So I don't think I think a lot of people are saying Chelsea parked the bus. They parked the bus. I'm not that I'm not a Chelsea lover by any stretch of the imagination or an apologist for them at all. But I think you're away to the league champions. And this is what we want to see some other teams do. I mean, other teams get slated for this, right? Arsenal gets slated for this. You went to where and you didn't try to defend? That's why you lost by 5. So Chelsea's not going to lose by 5 against City.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. So they set up in a fashion that I feel is acceptable because it wasn't. Yeah, they played counterattacking football. But when they went forward, it wasn't like, oh, we're going to nick one by a lucky bounce. Like, no, we are lethal going forward. It was pretty dangerous on the other direction. So the red card comes, and what do you think? We're gonna see something magical, right? We're gonna start seeing some attack. And they press a little bit, but they remained. I mean, Jose Mourinho was very content to just say, no, we'll take a point. We'll take a point. I mean, they got the goal. They did get a 1 point. They did get a goal lead, but I didn't have that. I didn't get that boot on the throat of the neck of your opponent. You know what I mean? I didn't get that. Let's just choke them out here because we can. And then the most troll-worthy substitution. I don't know if it was an act of genius or just straight up. I'm going to troll these bastards. If I'm going to lose, at least I'm going to make them feel weird. Pellegrini goes, who's the next oldest person on this bench besides me? Okay, you. Lampard, come up here. You want to play? Okay, yeah, of course you want to play. Let's go. And he threw him in there, and it worked. And I don't think it worked in the sense that I think anybody could have scored that goal that Lampard scored. I don't think he did anything special. It was very standard midfielder coming in for a late run.
It's the context.
It was the context. It even took the fans out of it. Took the away fans out of it for a minute. I think it took the bench out of it for a little bit. It was a shrewd move. Shrewd move.
Playing this psychological long game. I like it.
Didn't he say he would not play against Chelsea?
He didn't celebrate.
Well, yeah, okay, big deal. But I believe he said, I've asked the club to not play me against Chelsea. And, he's only going to play twice this year. He's going to play against Chelsea twice. It was his first. I think it was his first time on the field for them. I'm not sure. I'm speaking out of turn there. I don't know.
That was pretty good. But yeah, perfect result for me at least. Draw 1-1.
I wanted City to win because even though City would have passed Arsenal on the table, it would have brought us all closer. City would have been a point above Arsenal, but they would have brought all of us closer to Chelsea. But I'll take the point for each. I mean, it's okay. That's doable. That's livable.
Take it. So what do you got coming up this week? What are you picking? We got some derbies.
Must see TV on NBC.
I'm gonna go
plug.
We're not getting money for that.
No, I know. Just kidding. It just came to me.
That happened.
You know what it is? The branding has worked so well that it's trapped. I feel like after the EPL, the French should just come on.
The more you know. I'm going with Liverpool, Everton, and Spurs Gunners.
The derbies, Merseyside derby. and the North London derby. For Arsenal and Tottenham, the North London derby.
Oh, Stoke Newcastle too should be good.
That's a good one too. Except that we could see the end of Pardew. The end of Pardew.
Coup d'etat.
For Arsenal and Tottenham, the North London derby, the 2 times they play each year, I think, and I'm not saying that that's the only derby that has this feeling for the clubs, but I think if both teams were in the gutter, and we're not in the gutter, but let's say they were both like 15 and 16 or, something just miserable times, beating the other club and beating them well, not a little nail biter, like a humiliation. That's like a trophy. I mean, Arsenal jokes. Oh, they beat Tottenham, they get a trophy. They both play at a different level. Those matches are not everything. And the players, I think they've all...
To compare it in the U.S., it's like when every time the Yankees and the Red Sox play in baseball, it's the atmosphere is always a playoff kind of atmosphere. Same thing with certain football teams, too.
Yeah, when you get like Ravens, Steelers,
yeah,
Niners, Seahawks.
Jets, Pats.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's the match that you look for when I see the schedule. It's the one I go look for and I hunt down. I'm like, oh, where is that? And then of course, both Everton and Liverpool coming off losses. Tim Howard having a bit of a howler last week. It's going to be that's going to be a good. That's always Everton Liverpool is always a good match too. So
a tough one.
Those are the ones. Any predictions? Any predictions for either match?
No, not at all. I can't. They're too, in the derby, you never know.
It's Liverpool at home, I believe, and it is Arsenal at home. I think the home sides win, both of them.
Yeah, that's safe.
I couldn't tell you the margin. Could not tell you the margin.
I think it's going to be 1 goal, but I don't know how many goals are going to be.
I hope it's going to be like 9 goals.
That'd be great. And
a combined 9, not all 9 for Arsenal. Combined 4 and 5. 4 and 5. No.
And I hope Manchester United sort out their shit against West Ham. If United beat West Ham, would that technically mean that we beat Liverpool?
Yeah, that circle of life does not actually work. I wish. Because Arsenal has beaten all the mid-table teams. And I know some of them have beaten you guys. So. No, I think you got to be wary because, it's still early on in the season. The teams that typically fall further down the table are all still very healthy. Some of them are flying high. West Ham's doing well for themselves. The Aston Villas of the world, Swanseas, the Southamptons, they're all doing very well. They're still very hungry. They're not disillusioned by anything. They still have belief. They're all very, very dangerous teams to be playing right now.
Should be an exciting 6th week.
I'm pumped.
Did you check out that Red Bull game the other day?
Yeah, we watched it together. Oh. Oh, for them. Okay, for them, yes.
It was a segue.
Oh, it was a segue. Yes, I watched it with you.
It was a great time, remember?
Yes. Holy moly. 4-1. Seattle got thrashed. That was fun.
It was fun. It's starting to...
we got the playoffs right around the corner.
And the intensity and the quality of play is really starting to turn up in the MLS. It's fun to watch primetime football.
You know what I'd really like to see in the interim? Before Major League Soccer becomes the best sport in America. Somewhere 50 years from now.
When that happens.
When that happens. I would like it to have kind of the thing that's happening as of the last couple of years with the NBA. Where the regular season...
Stoners?
Yes. Very, very rich stoners. Yeah. Very well-dressed, rich stoners.
Oh, no. I said racist owners.
Oh, racist owners. I thought you said rich stoners. It works. It works. They both work.
Either way.
No, but, the NBA suffers from this where a lot of people tune in during the playoffs. They don't really pay too much of attention. They watch a game here and there.
Christmas.
They'll watch the Christmas game. They'll tune into their team when it works for them. Mm-hmm. But the playoffs, people don't miss for the most part. I would like, as a transition, Major League Soccer playoffs to be like that. Okay, maybe you're not going to watch Major League Soccer all summer long. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got barbecues and the pool and the beach, and you're doing fun stuff with your family. You go on vacation. Okay, maybe you can't dedicate yourself to it for now. In 50 years, you will. But the playoffs are here. Maybe it's time to tune in. There's not that many matches. There's enough, and they're exciting.
It's the fall. Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a good time. Sometimes it snows. Remember that one?
Yeah, that was awful.
The blizzard.
It was awful. They postponed the game.
Didn't they play in it?
No, the Red Bull game that they postponed. Our buddy Jay that writes for us, he was at the game. They delayed it like 2 or 3 hours, and then eventually, I think it was against DC, and they said we're not playing in this.
This is ridiculous.
I think that's what happened. Or did they play late? They played.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't remember. I get too much soccer to consume.
Anyway, well, that's it for this week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. I am at Soccer Yank Dave.
And I am at Soccer Yank Dan. You can follow our website as well on Twitter. It's at Soccer Yanks. That's it's not super active, but it has all our posts. We have a nice gaggle of contributors. If you want to
read some content, go to socceryanks.com.
Yeah, Jay recently wrote for us a very scathing piece on corporate ownership in Major League Soccer and comparing it to Red Bull Leipzig.
Oh, damn.
In Bundesliga 2.
That is scathing.
What's 2 in German? Zwei.
Yeah.
Yeah, zwei. Bundesliga 2. It was a great little piece out there. Check that out. Facebook.com/SoccerYanks. Stitcher. YouTube.
iTunes, iPod Store.
Apple. Don't get a bendy flexi iPhone 6 until they fix that.
Lamp.
I just like
tissue box.
I just like saying
I'm
things.
just looking at things.
Awesome.
All right. Have a good one, folks.
Thanks for listening.